choose to love with freedom flies from my heart where the light keeps shining, and I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love.
And welcome back. We are Grace Healing Ministries. I'm Larry Reynolds, and this is
Ina Marie. Heyo.
wonderful. This is part 6, and we're going to pick up right where we left off.
Yes.
We're trying to keep reference to the time that we're investing in these, and
Yes.
trying to keep within the constructs of the greatest level of success for people that watch the YouTube videos. So when I saw us pushing into that 30-minute mark, we kind of try to target the 20-minute mark. But again, if you've come into part 6 before you've seen 1 through 5, please take this moment to go to part 1 and then join us and come up to this understanding before we get into further expressions of what transpired within this event. So,
Yes.
we open first in prayers we have always committed to do for you. Yarve lama khamu tuye meneri ashma, ushelo andala khamu ki libietre ni kavu, abun li biklaibes ni bietre indicere cash na kondala khamun. Yahweh, we offer thanksgiving to know that you carry forth your divine grace, holy protection, wisdom, clarity, and peace. From all the times we have been blessed to pray over your audience, your children, those that reach forth to seek your understanding within Grace Healing, and the many videos that you have called us to present. We thank you that you continue to bring forth wisdom, clarity, understanding, for the sake of all people upon this earth, that they would remember and return to the wisdom you rested upon each heart as you breathe the life of your spirit in. We trust and know that your spirit brings freedom to any spirits of fear, any spirit of war, that we would each be recognized as ministers in love, here to function in your royal priesthood through the most blessed and design that your spirit sees as all things restored and remembered to know a blessing in each and every breath. In this we praise you and worship you through your most blessed and holy name as we breathe. Yahweh Yeshua Abun. So as a brief review, I had just stepped to the end of the seat aisle at Embrace Tom, and I see the Keystone Cops coming around the corner.
Yes.
And again, please forgive me. This is not being done out of irreverence.
Yes.
This is not being done to diminish something. This is being done to help you understand that within the process of discernment, to honestly look at our actions, you start to see that, wait a minute, even as we act in ministers, what we're doing right now is not aligning with God. So now if I had seen these people come around the end of the aisle, walking in peace, approaching the setting with a enthusiastic drive, that they were impelled, meaning they were driven from within themselves to come to this place to evidence God's presence and not fight a battle, my description might be different. But what I saw was these people, honestly, in abject fear, running like they were going to be the ones to fix the instant. And I swear to you, they were at a full tilt boogie, rounding the corner. I even saw the first guy on the tilt as he's rounding the corner, a woman right behind him, another one taken up close behind, and all 7 of them coming right to the aisle there. And I'm like, wow. They plunge in there, and I swear they were just pushing the chairs out of the way. They weren't even cognizant to the fact that I even saw a couple of the chairs hit a couple of the onlookers. Now, not violently, but they weren't. It wasn't ordered. It wasn't divine, the way I saw it unfold. So again, here's Larry, still thinking Bruce Reynolds, Ned Beatty going down a river on a canoe.
Yeah.
Dealing with, crazy guys in the middle of a woods going, this is insane. I must be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I must be doing...
You're the only one.
I'm like sitting there looking at this thing, and I turn around and look at my partner in ministry, this wonderful older gentleman. He's just smiling at me. He's just like, wow, this is really cool. But I'm still inside me going, what am I doing wrong? Because what they're doing, it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, again, they're praying and binding and casting, and God allowed me spiritual sight in such a way that I could see them drawing forth from the ether spiritual influences and casting them into Him and binding them.
Wow.
All the while, they're doing this thinking that they're helping Him.
Wow.
And they're controlling the environment so that they won't lose the glory of God within their environment. Right?
A striving spirit as well.
Exactly. That's the other one. And you nailed it right on the head of it. I was seeing one of the largest demonic forms in that moment, which was the striving spirit.
Oh.
Striving into it to manifest and make its presence known through spectacle, not through love, peace, and order.
Even that in itself, the wording is softer and loving and
Exactly.
kind. That just, how can you not surrender to that?
Exactly.
And that's how God wants us to operate.
Right. So here I am, the happy idiot, standing there going, oh my God, I must be screwing up at the end of the aisle. And then I just felt God move my physical form. It wasn't by my own design. I just felt God move my physical form to walk back over to Him. And as I did, I just reached down into the midst of all of them as they're binding and casting and resting their hands and holding them and shaking and trembling. And I reached forward. Their hands moved out of the way, and I placed my hand on his head, and I just prayed. Spiritual release. And I had this awareness come into me. Stand with and protect my son. I'm like, wait a minute. From them?
Yeah, and they're supposed to
They
be helping.
think they're ministering, but God is moving me in such a way that I'm supposed to protect him from them. So, again, I touch him. He does that thing again. I'm praying, and I just felt peace. And they didn't understand it. So they all kind of like backed up in an unknowing. They're like looking at me like, what happened? He's not screaming and he's not moving. And John looks up on the floor and goes, where'd you come from?
Again.
So I'm kind of giggling inside because I'm seeing the beauty of God, not the spectacle of the demonic.
Yeah.
So I help John up. And I go to step away, and the team closes in around him.
Oh, gosh.
And they
no.
start doing the prayer again. And John flops into their arms, and they pick him up and start out of the room.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like going,
No, not
Oh, my
again.
God.
They're doing it again.
I am really an idiot. I don't have a clue of what's going on. I'm supposed to be leading these people. I don't even have any clue of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I look at Tom, and I'm feeling that, I mean, it was such an impelling force within me of God's presence governing me to go to his son and protect him from the nature of that which they continue to perpetuate. And I'm looking at Tom, and Tom's looking at me. He's not saying anything. And I'm like going, oh, okay. And I'm looking at them going down the aisle, and they got him. One's got a leg, one's got an arm, and they're creating a spectacle through the striving spirit.
Yeah.
And everybody in the audience, they're no longer looking at the teacher. They're no longer looking at the violin.
They've caused
they're all
this commotion.
They're looking, wondering what's going on as this commotion is unfolding.
That's-
Beautiful word. This spectacle.
They're
So
creating the
I just start
atmosphere.
walking away, and Tom follows me.
He's just watching.
It was amazing. So again, we walk into this chapel, if you remember the way I laid out the group, and for some reason only 5 people were in the room now. I don't know if 2 others went off to another place to be an intercessory prayer. I don't know exactly what happened in that,
Okay.
because they were already into the chapel by the time I came out of the conference facility, and I walked toward this door, and I walk in, and here's John sitting in the chair in the middle, and they're binding this and binding that, and then they got this barrel in front of them, and again, just like I witnessed with the other individual, he's coughing up all this bile, and many voices coming out of him. Things of a spiritual nature. Feminine, masculine. I mean, perfect audible feminine woman's voice.
Wow.
Masculine voice, then another masculine voice, and it was all these things. And I'm looking at the whole thing, so I sat down at the end of the horseshoe, because remember the horseshoe?
Yes.
And there were the 7 seats, but there were 5 people standing around him and just doing this thing. And again, I'm still seeing, I got to let this go, because what I'm seeing is, again, them calling forth from the ether everyone they named and casting and binding them in him. And again, they've done this for 10, 15 years at this point. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't know. And I'm like, again, I'm sitting here on one side of the horseshoe and I'm looking across at John, and he's just smiling at me. And I'm sitting there going, because again, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm screwed up, man. There's something wrong with me, because what I'm seeing here ain't working for me, and it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I'm beating myself up inside because I'm not perfect. I'm sitting there going,
what
did they want me to be leading this spectacle for? As the word kept coming, spectacle. And I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, I'm not going to touch this. All of a sudden, my hand goes up. I didn't do it by choice. My hand goes up, and everybody is standing around him goes, boom, and they sit down. They just forced into chairs, and they're like sitting there going, what just happened? And I just stood up and walked over, and I yarvero kotor me kabra kamandru, abun sole kelbiashne heliandra hamundur gira yes masamun, and I just felt this incredible prayer of love come for this gentleman.
Oh, see, isn't that neat?
And I just felt this peace, and I felt this love, and so did he. And what does he say? He looks at me and goes, "Oh, where'd you come from?" And then he
Again.
chuckles because now he remembers he just said that before.
Yeah, interesting.
And he's chuckling, and I'm laughing. So now the spectacle is gone. And I'm thinking, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I hugged the stuffing out of him. Now, my Christian brothers and sisters are sitting around him, and they're like going,
This isn't right.
what's going on here?
Uh-oh.
It shouldn't be that quick. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but the construct that must have been going through their mind is they were used to doing this for hours.
Oh, God.
The total time from me seeing him and being called across the room to him, and then this whole little spectacle unfolding, to the completion at this moment must have been maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At the most, maybe. And that included getting him out of the room. So here we are about 20 minutes into this process, and I see this wonderful woman coming across from one of the other deliverance horseshoe thingies, and I realize it's Tom's wife, and she's smiling and beaming, and Tom's smiling and beaming. And at this point, I'm getting to the point where I'm like going, they know something, so I'm going to just let this unfold. And and I look back over it, and as I get to the outside of the horseshoe, what happens?
Here they come again.
These 5 people jump up and start binding and casting again.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like going,
Wow.
okay, now I am really clueless. I'm thinking we're done. This guy's in love. He's blessed. He's overjoyed and stunned by what's transpired for him. So this whole thing is happening, and I'm sitting there again, and I look across at Tom. And Tom's smiling.
He's just smiling.
So I'm just thinking, okay, well, he's not admonishing me. He's not stopping me. I'm okay. And they're still doing this. I bind, and cast, and I bind and cast. And
No
cast
wonder
this,
they're worn out.
and I
by the
cast
end of
this into the place of the dry bone. They were saying all these words that I didn't even recognize. It's like, I cast these spirits into the place of the dry bones that they would turn to dust. And I was like going, whoa.
I think they're taking that from Ezekiel about the
Okay.
dry bone.
Yeah, the
type
place of the
things,
dry bones.
and then speak to it to rise. Actually, that's more along the lines that it should be.
Yeah.
Actually, Ezekiel does come to mind, but they've twisted it. If they were talking about the dry bones,
Okay.
because God's breath, God used Ezekiel to the breath of God back into those dry bones that were dead.
Oh, okay. And they were using it as a way to
They-
cast them to this ugly place of the dry bones.
I see.
That's
I'm
what they
seeing
were
different-
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a
All right.
scripture that was taken into the wrong content and
Okay.
understanding. Okay, you
Now I
said that. I
understand.
didn't mean to under.
No, that's perfect. I'm glad that you did that, because
Yeah.
that kind of illuminated something for me, just as you're illuminating the people in here in the
Yeah.
audience. Because I didn't understand what they were talking about, casting this into the place of the dry bones. I'm like, what are they talking about? Why don't we just let them go into God's love and let God determine it?
Yeah, they came back to life through God's breath. Oh my God.
Because
Okay.
that's one thing I want to state is right here and now is my understanding of the prayer is surrender and submit so that I would decrease, God would increase. So Yahweh, so that God's presence is known. Then anything of a spirit nature or of a demonic nature would be returned into God's design and poured back upon his creation according to his will. Not my design. I'm not going to bind it and cast it into some place. I'm not going to love it in its present form. I'm going to surrender into God's love and allow for God's presence to determine the nature of what it is to become as God's presence pours it back upon creation according to his design.
Yes.
That's the Reader's Digest of everything I've just said to you, combined with the fact that you seek God first. That's the whole understanding of everything we've shared through every one of these videos.
Yes.
But in this experience, I'm looking back at this team, and they're doing this bind and casting thing. And I'm sitting there looking at Tom, and Tom's smiling, and his bride is standing there beside him smiling, and my arm goes up again. And those 5 people, bam, sit down in their chair.
Again.
And I go over and I just pray. This time when John came back into the awareness, he looked at me, and he stood up, received my hug, and we walked away from the group.
Thank God.
Now, at that point, I swear to you, it was the maximum of the most 20 to 25 minutes at the most from beginning of occurrence in the conference room to this point.
Wow.
That's it. And that included all the, Keystone Cops things. It included that. And again, what I found out later on was they were used to these things going to 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my gosh.
So now think about this for a moment. If the demonic is functioning in the way that they understand it to be, what would the demonic's desire to be? To take them away from the place where they could be of highest service. To sequester them in a place where they wouldn't be of value to the whole body. They would only be isolated to one spiritual thing unfolding.
Yeah, that's right. There we go.
To me, my ignorance, this child in God's spirit, I'm looking at this whole thing thinking, well, this is all about drawing people away. This isn't about forming unity. So I take John with me, and we walk out of the horseshoe, and we start out the door. And he starts to share with me what happened. And please understand that you are under the covering of prayer. Take not into your heart any spirit of sympathy, sadness, or disempowerment of any kind when you hear this.
Yes.
Understand that this was revealed to me and to you and to us to position us in a place of power and authority through love, meaning exousia, the Greek word describing the deepest parts within. That the love and authority resides within the love that is God's presence, not what we can manifest through power and authority by man. So as we start out the door, he starts explaining to me what transpired in his life. And what happened was he was raised in a satanic cult. They attempted to abort him 3 times by his mother's description when she was drawn out of the cult experience. They attempted to abort him 3 times, but were interrupted in the service 3 times because they were going to use him as a human sacrifice.
Wow.
Then when they raised him as a child, they would teach him the opposite of what you and I would learn in normal instruction.
Wow.
So they would sit this child down. This is what they did within this demonic culture. This Satan worshiping group is what they were. Is they would sit a Bible, Christian Bible, and a satanic Bible in front of the child. If the child reached for the Christian Bible, they would beat the child, harm the child, physically cause pain to the child, and rape the child while speaking the word out loud, love. Love.
Wow.
Love. 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 Which taught me something. I'll get to that in a moment. If he reached to the satanic Bible and pulled it forward, he would embrace, they would love him, coddle him, comfort him while speaking the word hate, 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 over and over again. What occurred to me right then was I realized why God wasn't speaking the word love through me when I prayed over John. I was only given the word freedom. That he would find freedom from the spirits within. It wasn't return into the fullness of your love. It would be that the freedom manifested within your Son would arise and emerge and make hold. That all spirits within would be transformed into the fullness of freedom. That they would know your presence in every breath that they receive. This is what was unfolding. I couldn't understand why I couldn't even speak the word love. Yeah. Well, because of the demonic that was within him knew that the word love meant pain, sickness, suffering. And if I had spoke the word love, it would have made John's form recoil from it. So God only allowed me to speak the word freedom.
That's why we're seeking God first, because
Exactly.
each one.
Not by what I would say, because I would like to extend the love.
Right.
God dictated through me the word freedom.
And you trusted in that
Exactly.
and walked it out.
So, if you're beginning to get the basic theme here, this isn't about what you, Ina, or Larry can do.
Yeah.
This is what are we to do when we surrender ourselves completely to become the spectators in the God sport? What is it like to allow for God to manifest through our every word, thought, and action?
Yes.
And that's what this turned out to be. Because what he did was he described to me this whole situation and event that unfolded of them doing all this stuff to him and him coming through this process. And then his wife comes out of the conference area and sees him and almost walked right by us. Does a double take, does a triple take. Oh my God! She didn't even recognize him.
Wow.
With the spiritual influences gone.
Hmm.
She didn't even see him, which was, for me, cause for concern. Prayerfully. So I engaged in prayer and asked if she would receive prayer, and she was highly resistant.
Wow.
So my prayer at that point was great concern, because she was so accustomed to managing this individual in the demonic and taking care of this individual in the demonic. The next prayer that came out of me was to provide freedom for John to not be named and returned to the nature of that which they once knew, because it appeared that his bride was more interested in having him in brokenness in her story than she was in having him wholeness within their story,
Wow.
because it gained the spectacle of demonic in attention for her.
Yeah, interesting.
So that's another huge teaching that we won't get into now, but the reality of what's unfolding, that law of attraction that is within, governing the spiritual nature of what's within us and what we don't know within us, and then it attracts to us something of like kind to reveal these things.
Yeah.
There are people upon this earth that wish to hold and sustain the demonic because it brings attention unto them.
Yes.
So, praying in love and freedom, this guy was transformed and renewed. I finally get to sit and talk with Tom. Find out, what were you grinning about? He says, I just saw something beautiful and new unfold, and I just had to be quiet and watch it unfold.
Wow, and he did.
So I'm like going, well, thanks a lot, buddy. I mean, we were being tongue-in-cheek about the whole
Sure.
thing, but it was beautiful to see and hear this man for, at that time, well in excess of 40 years serving in ministry, and in the 15 years doing these events, him looking to what God was doing through me to alter and adjust the nature of how he was functioning. And I was like, okay, this has nothing to do with Larry. Okay, God, you're doing more amazing stuff. I continue to submit myself before you in absolute trust that everything you gift to me in understanding, wisdom, and clarity, I come before you each night. And not only do I release the things of a spiritual nature that I witnessed throughout the day, but I also release to you everything of blessing that you have shown me. Because I want you to be my holy file cabinet. You to be the holy blessed place of storage. So that my form, Larry, would not corrupt the nature of what you want to communicate. I will gift it back unto you as I enter my time of sleep, that even the things of blessing that you have given me, I will return them unto you, that you would hold and sustain the blessing within you, so that I might not corrupt it by the veils or limitations I hold within myself. And that prayer, shared with a pastoral counselor, he jumped all over me and attacked me. How can you diminish the blessing of God? That's like spitting back in God's face. I'm like, no, it's not. It's showing God greater trust.
Absolutely.
I am relinquishing the spiritual holds and ties upon the knowledge that God has given me in the hopes that it sustains perfect within God's grace, so that when I'm called to a day where I get to sit next to my completer within Grace Healing, and we share these videos, it won't be an alteration of how I have determined the message. I will be held accountable by the gift of God's daughter. This blessed and holy gift in the midst to say, Larry, you're not clear, you're not focused, you're not on the mark, you're not a whatever. Because I don't want to diminish the message that God extends.
Yes.
I only want to convey the message that God wishes to extend now. Not what I experienced then, not the veils I held then. What is it today within God not influenced by Larry's experiential opportunities.
Yes.
And that's where
Beautiful.
we can complete, if you're open to or you want to share something.
Yes, I would just like to say that there is so much more to come.
Yes.
This is just another part of the experiences that Larry's had through Grace Healing,
Mhm.
and now now we're even in a new beginnings with
Right.
Grace Healing as I've come on board, and amazing things yet to come, and great revelation for you to receive truths again of Him that's within you. And so with that, I would like to engage in prayer and end our...
And before you do the prayer,
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to complete this series at this part 6. But as Ina said, as you like and subscribe to these videos, you'll be notified of additional series that will come out, that will head into the depths of subjects, because we're just finding we can't do things in a 20-minute window.
Yeah.
There's just too much of a foundational awareness that needs to be shared, then give you the instruction and the supported awareness that has proven its validity upon this earth. So we realize that we're going to have to do these in series form.
Yes.
We also ask and request of you to submit your comments, to submit your prayer needs,
Yes.
and to trust that we will find the time by God's grace to reach back in and help you understand with how does this translate to you today? Not just what did Larry go through, not what is the teacher in the church talking about from somebody for 3,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago when Beelzebub did this or Bob did that one or this one beget that one or these one beget those ones. What is it that you seek today? And what is the spiritual counsel you are hungering for today?
Exactly.
And we embrace the holy opportunity to serve you each and every day of our lives as both Ina and myself. Her under agreement with her husband, myself under the agreement of God, that we have submitted ourselves fully before God. We have committed all our resources to be present for people full time.
Yes.
And if people reach out by phone, we are there. If we can't be there, you leave the voicemail, and God will permit us the time to get back to you in His time, her wisdom, perfect order, and we will engage in prayer for change for the situations you see rising in your life that, quite frankly, Yeshua said, if you see anything of a corrupt nature that manifests upon this earth, it is first spiritual in nature. In addition, He said, if you release anything of a spirit nature or of a demonic nature, you must welcome the presence of God within, or many of like kind will return.
Yes.
And that's the completion of this understanding for this 6th series. Because when you go back to the description of the heavens, 1, 2, 3, highest of all heavens, the order of principalities, and the lower heavens of that which we manifest our physical bodies and all things we can measure. The 3 heavens. Anything of a spirit nature or of a demonic nature emerges directly of the flesh and will show the body to carry sickness, disease, sadness, depression, or anything otherwise. That is spiritual in nature, but we have become so accustomed to watching a TV and seeing a TV tell us about this medication for that depression, for this alcoholism, for this thing, we don't understand that anything and all things revealed of a corrupt nature upon this earth are first spiritual in nature. Engage in prayer. Release the things of a spiritual nature, then seek the process of healing. Otherwise, the process of healing will be a counterfeit process, and you will perpetuate the spiritual ground which governed it in the first place.
Yes. And I know that's going to have to be an ongoing kind of a teaching.
Yes,
It's
most
not just a
definitely.
one-time thing that everybody sort of come into the awareness and be awakened, again, that of the knowing that's already within them, of the truth of God, and not the, I don't want to say corruption of man or
Well, the spiritually influenced interpretations of man
Yes.
is what it is.
So,
So again, I want to honor you, each and every one of you, and I want to give you the gift of Ina and the amazing prayers that God speaks through her. And I will just quiet my mouth for this time as God's Spirit rises up through and brings blessing to each and every one of you.
awesome. And so let's just engage in prayer as we breathe. Sense the presence of God within you. Bosia kariarabiashi, kororobiasia namiato kelariara. even of all the things that we have heard, receiving fully of truth, of those things which are not of God. Just release those things even now. Any kind of fears, doubt, concerns, confusion, released off of you even now. And receiving the fullness of His love that's within you, a greater awareness. We thank you, Yeshua, for this time that we have gathered once again of this series of even more to come, of great revelation of that of your truth, released unto your sons and daughters, that you draw them to your ever-loving embrace, presence, the breath that breathes within them, bringing health and restoration, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, whatever it might be, here to this platform that you have given us, this gift of grace healing, for your glory and your purposes. So may we part now until the next time that we meet. Your precious sons and daughters, go. Begin to seeking you in a new way, having time alone with you, learning how deeply you do love them in their own way of where they are. We give you praise, honor, and glory, and lift your name on high, releasing that you all are blessed. Peace of God be with you, and be well. Be well. In your most precious holy name.
Yarvelachim Tuyemesan Yeshua Yusuyenye Amen.
Amen.
We love you all. Look forward to hearing from you in your comments, and hope that you will subscribe and like this page. Have an amazing day, and we will see you in the next series.
Yes. God
Take
bless.
care and be blessed.
We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.